Mata.
Here.
Onken.
Here.
Guerra.
Here.
Stiegel.
Here.
James.
Here.
Chase.
Here. Thank you. 7 members present. We have a quorum. Item number 3, minutes. 3A, Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes for September 27th, 2022, October 11th, 2022, and October 27th, 2022, regular meetings.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Che, seconded by Commissioner James. Is there any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item number 4, citizen comments. At this time, if there are any members of the public who would like to speak, you are invited to do so now. Seeing none, I will close citizen comments. Citizen comments is now closed. Item number 5, executive session. 5A, executive session pursuant to Texas Local Government Code, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney regarding procedural matters related to Crosswinds Subdivision Phase 6A, Final Plat, Sub-21-0224, 26.232 acres, 117 single-family lots, 1 commercial lot, and 5 public utility lots located on the southeast corner of Windy Hill Road and Crosswinds Parkway. Consider possible action on recommendation to City Council regarding a request by Al Carroll, P.E., to rezone approximately 4.01 acres of land from Agriculture A to Retail Service District, RS, for property located at 23451 IH35 in Hays County, Texas, Winn Family Limited Partnership, Z-22-0109. Consider a request to construct approximately 5,550 square foot restaurant building located within the I-35 Overlay District, Tony C's Pizza and Beer Garden, 2344 Kohler's Crossing, CUP-22-0069. Consider a request to remodel the existing Kohl store structure by painting a portion of the front facade for property located within the I-35 Overlay District, Kohl's/Sephora Remodel, 20185 Marketplace Avenue, CUP-22-0071. Consider a request to construct approximately 46,345 square feet retail store for property located within the I-35 Overlay District, Academy Sports and Outdoor, 5755 Kyle Parkway, CUP-22-0066. The time is 6:33. We'll be going into executive session now. All right, thank you. The time is 7:05. I'd like to call this meeting back to order. Next. Item number 6, consent. We have consent agenda item A.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
motion to approve item 6A.
Second.
Thank you. It's been motioned by Vice Chair Chase, seconded by Commissioner James. Is there any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion passes. Next, item number 7, zoning. 7A. Consider possible action on recommendation to City Council regarding a request by Al Carroll, P.E., to rezone approximately 4.01 acres of land from Agriculture A to Retail Service District, RS, for property located at 23451 IH35 in Hays County, Texas, Winn Family Limited Partnership, Z-22-0109. There is a public hearing on this item. If there's anyone from the public who would like to speak on this item, you may come up now. Seeing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Ms. Sharp.
Kayla Sharp, City Planner for the record. So this is a property located at 23451 I-35. It is currently zoned agriculture. It's approximately 4.01 acres, and the applicant is requesting to have it rezoned to retail services. It is within the, if I can get to it, it is within the regional node for the comprehensive plan future land use map, which retail services is a recommended zoning district within the regional node, and it is surrounded by properties that are used for, there is some warehouse zoning. The property immediately to the north is zoned retail services already, and then there is some construction manufacturing to the south. Staff has reviewed this request and has found that it is compliant with the comprehensive plan, future land use map. It has city utilities for water, wastewater, PEC for electric. They will need to potentially subdivide, and then they'll be required to do a site development permit, conditional use permit per the I-35 overlay for commercial buildings, and a commercial building permit. So staff has reviewed this request and has found that it is appropriate, and we ask that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval to City Council.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff? Okay, if there are no questions, would anyone like to make a motion?
With a motion,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve item 7A.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner James, seconded by Vice Chair Chase. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next, item number 8, consider and possible action. 8A, consider a request to construct approximately 56,345 square feet retail store for property located within the I-35 overlay district, Academy Sports and Outdoors, 5755 Kyle Parkway, CUP-22-0066. Ms. Sharp.
All right, Kayla Sharp, City Planner for the record. This is a conditional use permit for building elevations for a property located within the I-35 overlay. This portion will be for Academy Sports and Outdoors. They are seeking to request this retail store, and the building will have materials consisting primarily of stucco, concrete tilt walls, concrete masonry units or CMUs, and then fiber cement panels that kind of have like a wood look to them. And then there's, of course, appropriate architectural features that complete the design. So staff has reviewed this request and has found that it is compliant with the I-35 overlay, and we recommend approval of this conditional use permit.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff?
I have a question.
Commissioner Onken.
So when I'm looking at I guess it's the east facade of this building, I noticed that it's adjacent to a mixed-use PUD that the city is working on. And the concept plan for that mixed-use PUD does show trees and stuff next to the parking lot that they will have up there. And on the elevation drawing for this academy building, it looks like there's not a lot of space. I read that there's supposed to be a 10-foot setback, and it looks like it's just going to be grass between the setback and that building. So I wanted to ask how that screening would work there. Would there still be enough screening space with the mixed-use PUD adjacent to it?
Yes, so screening requirements are looked at during the site development permit. That is reviewed by staff and approved administratively through that. Generally speaking, there are usually some sort of fencing requirements as well between commercial and residential properties, so that's definitely taken into consideration with the site development permit. Does that answer your question?
So it has been looked at to confirm. They've thought about the adjacent use.
Yes.
Okay.
Will might have more to add to
Yeah.
that.
Will, please.
We did look at it. I'm going to override you on this one, though, just as a heads up. Your concern is right there between the edge of the building and the edge of the property line, zoomed in. Is that the location of your concern?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have not seen the site development permit yet for the adjacent CTC residential project that's been entitled. They're still doing their subdivision-related stuff. We do have a requirement for commercial adjacent to residential that the commercial does have appropriate screening from it. So, and this does not show that. What I don't know offhand is if, and I'm making an assumption that this landscape sheet matches the approved site plan, which it should, because this comes after that. Well, let's make an assumption that we did not catch that specific portion of it in our review. So I would recommend that you make a motion to approve the CUP, but ask that the applicant add appropriate landscaping buffers between the building and the adjacent residential as well.
Thank
So, because I think as a team, we did make a mistake, so.
I'm going to follow up on that question if that's okay with you. Do you believe there is room to put appropriate buffering materials? That is a very small space.
Right. That's why I'm saying appropriate, because it needs to be. So the way the retail services zoning district works from a buffering requirement, the way the code reads is a 4-foot landscape strip and appropriate solid fencing. So it does not say that you have to have overstory trees and what have you. It says a 4-foot strip. So we're going to have to rely on a landscape architect to find an appropriate solution to that design, which they have hired for this project to meet that code requirement. So it also does not mess with the foundations of the building as well. Does that make sense?
Right. Okay. I guess my question is, if we go forward with that recommendation and we do say approve with that appropriate buffer, I'm sorry, appropriate isn't a subjective term.
I know, but because landscaping, in the way it's the retail services zoning district for that specific requirement for a buffer, a landscape buffer adjacent to residential, is not super detailed. So we do have to rely on a landscape architect to design it appropriately to make sure that the roots for trees and what have you do not get underneath the foundation of that building.
Okay.
So-
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We can talk about more in discussion.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Do you have anything else with that? Oh, okay. If you're done, yes, we'll move on. Commissioner Chase.
Can you scroll down?
Yep.
Number 3. In the landscaping requirements, they discuss screening there and what their plans are for screening. I couldn't find it exactly on the landscape plans where they were putting those shrubs, but that is it looks like their plan for screening is to use shrubs that are 30 inches in height and spacing of 48 inches. So they call it out, but on their landscape plan, it's tough to see. I mean, they have it on the top for sure. They're screening up at the top, but whether they plan on bringing that all the way down, I don't know.
And we can also coordinate with them as well to make sure that they are compliant in the end before they get a CO, a certificate of occupancy on the building.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions for staff?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So can we go to the elevation, that page 1?
Do you want the renderings?
Yeah, rendering,
Okay.
please. So you can see in the elevation on the right-hand side here, this frontage difference from many in that there's a set of blue pylons there, and it looks like they're fairly close spacing. Can we make sure that that's ADA compliant, the minimum of 32 inches on those?
Yes.
Those are there for one of two reasons. One is to keep carts in or to protect it from automobiles that try to get into the store. So
Yes, sir.
If it's the former, then there could be an issue there, so please check.
Absolutely.
Does that need to be included in the motion or not?
I don't think so, because it still needs to go through a building permit perspective.
Okay.
And they'll make, we have a third-party review. We actually have 2 contracts with third-party reviewers they are detailed to the nines. So frequently, they do a pretty good job, so.
Okay. Are there any other questions for staff? Would anyone like to make a motion for this item?
Make a motion to approve.
It's been moved by Commissioner Mata. Does anyone like to second?
A second.
Thank you. It's been seconded by Commissioner Steele. Is there any discussion on that item?
Point of order.
Yes.
What is the main motion as described?
I'm
Is
sorry.
it to approve, or is it to approve with the recommendations of what Will had asked?
Commissioner Mata, would you like to clarify your motion?
With the approve with the conditions that were discussed.
So your motion is to approve item 8A with the condition that there's proper buffering in place on the, what was it, east
Yeah, on the
side of the
landscaping.
property?
Yep.
Is that good with everyone? Does everyone okay with that? Are you still good with the second? Okay, yes. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. So we have a motion, we have a second. Does anyone have any discussion on that motion? Okay, I'll go ahead and go. I am still a bit hesitant. I think Commissioner Onken brought up a good point, and once it goes past us, this is approved. We are approving this or not. There is very limited space there to put things in, and I would feel more comfortable if I were to see this before I let it go through. That is my perspective. Does anyone else have any? Yes, sir. Commissioner, Vice Chair Chase.
Just a question for staff. Would they bring that back to us, or would that condition just be something that staff would make sure is met?
It can be either way, depends on what you want to do.
If we approve it, though, with that condition, then it would just go through staff, correct?
Correct.
If we postponed it or something, then we could ask that they bring it back to us. So that's where we are. And if you're good with staff doing that, I think we approve this, correct? And if you're not, then we do something else.
If I may.
Please, go ahead.
It's not a difficult thing to resolve on the drawing. It's a relatively quick correction to account for. So if y'all decide that it's appropriate for it to be approved with conditions, we can just coordinate with them and make sure it's resolved. If y'all feel more comfortable having it come back at the next scheduled meeting that y'all can, the next meeting that they can make on their schedule, the applicant, then that's an option as well.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on this? Just
I guess I would say I'm more of a visual person, so I would appreciate seeing it again before it got approved.
okay. Yes.
I will say that I'm on the side of I don't need to see it again. Like, I think that we have a good staff who can take care of this, and they said it was pretty simple. So I don't know why it needs to come back to us again.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Steele.
Yes, I would agree with just going ahead and having you folks review that and take care of it.
Okay, absolutely. So we are going to go ahead and vote once we're all done with discussion. If you vote yes, then it will get passed with that condition. It probably would go back to staff then at that point. So that's what you're voting on right now. If that motion fails, we could always put a different motion up, but that's only if that motion fails. Everyone okay with that? Anyone have any other discussion?
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, ma'am.
So when we're talking about buffering, are we talking about hang on, I've got the ordinance here, let me see. I have to pull up the right thing. I can't zoom on that. Sorry. So I'm reading screening, it says at least 30 inches in height, minimum spacing of 48 inches. So are we talking about a super tall building next to a residential building with like 2.5 feet of shrubs at the bottom and a 4-foot fence.
The way that that plat, or not the plat note, the way that the note on the landscape sheet read, it was at time of planting. Now, depending on the type of shrubs and the species and what have you, they are going to have a max height just by default. But they do have to be irrigated and make sure that they stay alive and what have you. And it's also within a combination of that and having an appropriate screening fence as well. So.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, thank you. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Delory,
Nay.
Mata,
Yes.
Ankin,
Nay.
Guerra,
Nay.
Stiegel, James,
Aye.
Chase.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 4-3. Next, item number 8B. Consider a request to construct approximately 5,550 square feet restaurant building located within the I-35 overlay district. Tony C's Pizza and Beer Garden, 2344 Kohler's Crossing, CUP-22-0069. Ms. Sharp.
All right, Kayla Sharp, City Planner for the record. This is another conditional use permit for building elevations. It is located off of Kohler's Crossing, a couple hundred feet from the I-35 frontage road, also next to Rudy's, which we approved a CUP for recently. This facade is almost entirely brick besides some of the architectural details. And so it is most definitely compliant with the I-35 overlay from the masonry standards and architectural features requirement. And I just want to go ahead and note that any signs shown in these drawings that y'all are not approving signage, that will come forward in a separate permit that is approved by staff. So keep that in mind. These renderings are just kind of more conceptual in nature besides the building materials and things like that. So yeah, this one is compliant and staff recommends approval. Any questions?
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff?
Yes.
Yes, Commissioner Steele.
Regarding the awning, it's unclear to me from the record that here what the square footage on that is, how large in fact it is.
The awning or the patio?
The patio awning. I think they would be roughly the same.
Let's see.
It looks like, I'm sorry. I'll let you answer it.
It looks like it's about 215 square feet or so on the east elevation.
And that's away from the street, away from I-35 view?
So the east elevation, well, if you can pull up the landscape sheet for this one, that helps explain
Yes.
or orient a little bit better. So the patio, that awning is actually facing technically the back/side of Rudy's. So it is facing I-35, but it's behind another building. And so then if you're looking at the renderings, the side that has the mural is the side that will be facing Kohler's.
And what materials will that awning be made of?
Let's see what. It doesn't say the specific material, but I mean, I would assume something that is appropriate for, weatherproofing and all of that. The bottom portion is the breeze block, I believe. But the actual awning itself, I'm not sure of the exact material.
Well, as you'll note later, another item, I've just got concern about stripes and designs that may create clutter in the environment, especially in the overlay. So that's the reason for the question, is the durability of the awning of course, it would be an issue, but just its general appearance. Given what you've told me, I'm satisfied with the answer.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for staff? Okay, would anyone like to make a motion for item 8B?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
motion to approve item 8B.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Vice Chair Chase, seconded by Commissioner James. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Item number 8C, consider request to remodel the existing Kohl's store structure and by painting a portion of the front facade for property located within the I-35 overlay district, Kohl/Sephora Remodel, 20185 Marketplace Avenue, CUP-22-0071. Ms. Sharp.
All right, Kayla Sharp, city planner for the record. So this one is a bit of an interesting case as it is more of a remodel situation. The building is already there. And so from that regard, majority of the building materials have already been approved. So for this one, they are simply painting part of the facade. Kohl's is integrating with Sephora, and so they are changing some of their branding to reflect that. And so we confirmed with the applicant, there's no change in building materials. It is strictly paint and signage is a separate permit that has already been submitted. So yeah, this is, it falls within the I-35 overlay, which is why we're bringing this forward, as it is, it requires a conditional use permit, but this is generally speaking more of a formality. But yeah, are there any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
Question?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Steele.
Just by way of a comment as much as a question, this is the rendering and is in black and white stripes. And as I've seen their other stores, they're very bold, bright, black and white. So issue I have is that 125 feet to the east of that is a store that has very, very bright blue stripes. And getting to the issue of visual clutter, I know it's easy to paint stripes and they have their attractiveness really rather immediately, but I really do have an issue with this kind of design, especially since I know that this particular chain has adapted its brand by way of signage and design to the environment in which it finds itself, to the different cities. So if you look in Manhattan, New York, you wouldn't see the stripes. You wouldn't see them in Canada, Australia, France. You see them here used variously, and just inside the doors, for instance. But I really have a problem with they've got good design features that they've used elsewhere, and I am concerned that they would use something so simple and bold and visually distracting next to these other stripes.
Commissioner Steele, just for clarification.
Yes.
So this is a discussion item, correct? It's not necessarily a question for staff?
Well, it's a question.
I'm sorry, just what is the question then?
Well, then the question would be is, this is what we see here. Between the renderings, it looks like this last one we're looking at is very bold and bright. And that's what we've got. That's what we would understand that we're looking at.
Based on the renderings provided, they are going to be using the black and white. That is Sephora's standard branding colors, and that is what they have proposed. And as it doesn't change any building materials, it technically is compliant. We don't have anything in the overlay that dictates colors necessarily, and they're not changing or adding any building materials. So yeah, and I mean, in terms of actually painting it with it being on, I believe it's stone, I don't know if it will be as bright as it's showing in pictures or not.
Mm-hmm. So as a matter of discussion, I think I was clear about my thinking, though, is that they've used different kinds of designs for different environments, different cities, different neighborhoods. And so this isn't attractive in my view, to something in the overlay. They've done very sophisticated and simple things elsewhere, and I certainly would prefer to see if they could do something other than this.
Okay. Thank you. We can definitely talk about that in discussion in just a moment. Does anyone have any questions for staff? Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion on item 8C?
With a motion,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve item 8C.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner James, seconded by Commissioner Mata. Is there any discussion on that motion?
I think I'll go ahead and lead it off.
Yes, sir. Commissioner James.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that I think that we're also looking at a fairly like backlit screen. So I don't think it would necessarily be as bright as it would be, like painted on stone. At least like that's my understanding of from painting on stone. What I would say is that like this meets all of our standards. It fits in with the brand of Sephora. It doesn't necessarily stick out in any sort of meaningful way. I see no reason for us to decline it. Like if it was sitting next to something else that was like right adjacent to it on the other side, that was also some sort of different colored stripe where it might have a visual like problem, I could see us considering that, but I really don't see a reason for it. And I'm someone who, when I drive, is very distracted by things like that. And so if I can look at it and say, I think that's fine, I wouldn't necessarily be distracted when I ran by it, like I feel comfortable approving it.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Okay. I'll go ahead and say if this was the entire building, I would have concerns.
Yeah.
I am personally in support of this for what they brought to us, but everyone's entitled to have their own opinion on that. Would anyone else like to say anything else in discussion? Okay. Can we have a roll call vote for this one?
Talori,
Aye.
Mata,
Aye.
Onken,
Aye.
Guerra,
Aye.
Stiegel,
Nay?
James,
Aye.
Chase.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 6-1. Next, item number 9, general discussion. 9A, discussion only regarding Planning and Zoning Commission request for future agenda items. Does anyone have any future or any items you would like to see on a future agenda? Okay, we can move forward to item number 10, staff report. Staff report by William Atkinson, Director of Planning.
I have just a couple of items. So just as a friendly reminder, we have a special called meeting next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. for the first public hearing to consider adoption of the downtown master plan. I need to double check, but as I understand it, the first public hearing that you will see is simply a public hearing and giving an opportunity for any concerned citizens or anybody to speak. It's not any item for action. The second public hearing, which is going to be on the 29th in front of y'all at the same time at 6:30, will have an opportunity for y'all to have discussion on it and take a vote and what have you. And then of course on the 6th is the public hearing at City Council. Just so y'all are aware of it. You don't have to be there, but just that's the schedule for that. We would like to invite y'all to the Veterans Day Parade and park event there this weekend, right here at Mary Carroll Hartson Park. We have a comprehensive plan booth or a planning booth that we're going to have set up. It's going to be myself and Debbie, spreading the word as well. Y'all are more than welcome to attend. And then we are going to be at Santa's Arrival on Thursday evening of December the 1st for the same reason, as an official event for the comprehensive plan. In the meantime, we're trying to get the word out as much as we can through social media. We're beginning coordination with various nonprofits, public entities elsewhere or in the region as well to get the word out. I'm trying to think what else. I think that was pretty much it. I really don't have anything else, so.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, did you say that the Veterans Day Parade was at Mary Kyle Hartson Park?
It's going by it. There's going to be a lot of vendor booths set up on the park square itself, And so that we're going to have a booth set up specifically to pass out flyers and talk with people and what have you. So we're going to be there from 9 to 2 in a booth.
Is there any reason why the Veterans Day parade wasn't going to Veterans Park, the thing we built for this very thing?
I was not part of the planning for the route. I don't know the answer. And I probably shouldn't be part of that planning either, so, for that matter. But, you're right. But no, I don't know that.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Item number 11, adjournment. I would like to move that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved by myself, seconded by Vice Chair Chase. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
We are adjourned.